All right, we're live.
Thank you so much. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. There's no God but you. Glory be unto you. Indeed, I was among the wrongdoers. وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Ameen. Welcome everyone, and happy Saturday, inshallah. Hope everyone is doing good. We are proceeding with the sixth word, which really is an explanation of the verse from Quran chapter 9, verse 111, which goes as Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. Verily, God has purchased from the believers their persons and their property, that paradise might be theirs. Again, verily, God has purchased from the believers their persons and their property, that paradise might be theirs. And the previous moderators explained it thoroughly in terms of how can we understand this verse as far as our given condition is concerned. So, if we reflect on our human qualities, human side, body, anything, like whatever is it that we are, how we define ourselves as human beings, if we reflect on it, then we inevitably come to the conclusion that I do not give existence to myself. I inevitably come to a conclusion that the universe must have a creator. You and I are being brought into existence right now. And so, definitely, this existence of an agent, not of the nature of this universe, which we refer to as absolute, there must be a necessarily existent one. We can easily come to that conclusion. And so now the question becomes, what am I to do with this? What am I to do with myself, with everything that's given to me? Clearly, every moment is passing. The universe is constantly renewed. Last moment died. A new moment is brought into existence. And that's how the journey is undergoing. Same thing with ourselves. We're given so many tools that we use to interact with anything around us. And so they come and go as well in a way. They get renewed. And so, like, what is it? How should I utilize them in order to give their due rights, or in order to really utilize them for the purpose that they ought to be utilized? Otherwise, if I'm just left here to my own devices, where the death is just the end to my creation, then pretty much it's going to be a painful situation, and journey is not going to be pleasant, because every moment is dying, things are deteriorating, tools and some of my abilities, after a while, they're not as sharp as they are during prime youth. So I want all of us to imagine, the Darwin's evolution, that little graph that goes like a upside down U-shaped parabola. It goes, so like, when we're a baby, we're growing, and suddenly there's the peak, and then we start declining. Or think of a mountain, you're climbing with a positive slope, and then you're up on the hill, and then you can go down, there's a negative slope. So, at first glance, we are young, we don't really see that much, that we can recognize that, yes, things are transient, we're reaching the peak, but once on the peak, you start going down, then, things become very apparent. So in other words, when we start aging is a very obvious sign that really I don't control my existence here. So with this, what the author now is mentioning, I think we went over some profit in terms of how can I utilize my existence here to the best of my abilities. And so the author walked us through some profits, PROFIT, and how can we really use them to fulfill the purpose of our existence. And we all want profit, right? Nobody wants to be at a loss. But now we're gonna today explore what it's like to not take profit or not take advantage from our existence or from our human qualities that we are endowed with, or if we're not utilizing ourselves the way we ought to be utilized, the way that our engineer has designed us. So what happens? So let's look into that. So I think just warming up to set up the stage in terms of, what is at stake here if I'm not utilizing myself in the proper way. So even take off any gadget you have, like maybe a phone or something. So if you're just using maybe your laptop, just to type things in or just basic browsing, and you're not really making use of it in terms of its other functionalities where you can install more apps and maybe make your life much easier with it, then what's the use of paying like 1,000 or some extensive amount of money to get it if it's just to be used just for 1, 2, 3 things, right? So we have to explore. And so Bismillah, let's go with the first loss. Before we do that, I know we have a small group of friends here. Is there anyone who would want to read it for us? The first loss, second loss, and third loss. It would be good to hear from you. All right, go ahead, please.
Okay, so if you spurn this trade with its fivefold profit, in addition to being deprived of its profit, you will suffer fivefold loss. So if I reject the trade, I'm not only depriving myself of the profit, but there's an extra issue here, or an extra problem here, because I am being deprived of the profit as well, but I will be suffering loss as well. So that tells me the profit, this is the option that everybody should go for. So let's see what the first loss is. The property and offspring to which you are so attached, the soul and its caprice that you worship, the youth and life with which you are infatuated, all will vanish and be lost. Your hands will be empty, but they will leave behind them sin and pain, fastened on your neck like a yoke. The second loss, you will suffer the penalty for betrayal of trust, for you will have wronged your own self by using the most precious tools on the most worthless objects. The third loss, by casting down all the precious faculties of man to a level much inferior to the animals, you will have insulted and transgressed against God's wisdom. The fourth loss: in your weakness and poverty, you will have placed the heavy burden of life on your weak shoulders and will constantly groan and lament beneath the blows of transience and separation. The fifth loss: you will have clothed in an ugly form, fit to open the gates of hell in front of you, the fair gifts of the compassionate one, such as the intelligence, the heart, the eye, and the tongue, given to you to make preparation for the foundations of everlasting life and eternal happiness in the hereafter. Should we read everything and then we'll go over? All right, so now is it so difficult to sell the trust? Right, so now is it so difficult to sell the trust? Is it so burdensome that many people shun the transaction? By no means. It is not in the least burdensome, for the limits of the permissible are broad and are quite adequate for man's desire. There is no need to trespass on the forbidden. The duties imposed by God are light and few in number. To be the worshipper and soldier of God is an indescribably pleasurable honor. One's duty is simply to act and embark on all things in God's name, like a soldier, to take and to give on God's behalf, to move and be still in accordance with His permission and law. If one falls short, then one should seek His forgiveness. Say, O Lord, forgive our faults and accept us as your worshippers. Make us sure holders of your trust until the time comes when it is taken from us. Amen. And make petition unto Him. So that was the section on us where he had kind of introduced the topic, and there were a few points that were touched upon. The first step was to understand and realize that all my faculties, tools, are not mine to begin with. Did I make them? Did I give them existence? So that is the first stage of my realization that everything is given to me. And then now I need to know, what am I supposed to do with them? Do I just use them and, without, I need some guidance in terms of how do I make optimal use of them, and what is their purpose, as Faria mentioned, that why are they given to me, for what reason? And the guidance kind of in this verse that says, verily God has purchased the property from the believers, comes into, as an offering to how to make a trade based on whatever tools and faculties one has. Verily God has purchased from the believers their persons and their property. And then there's that paradise might be theirs. And as Faria summarized on what, selling the property, and we discussed that in the previous discussions as well. Now we understand how, we can make use of our tools and senses, our human side. And I know in the last discussion we discussed not to become like a beast or a wild animal, relying that, thinking that, hey, I am the one who is gonna take care of all my, my existence, my senses, my abilities. And I like that example of the mountain that for you gave, like the human journey goes from, the infant stage and all the way to the peak optimal stage, and then starts declining till the end. So that is what our human bodily kind of stage is. But we also discussed that we are not just merely bodies, we're not just bones and skin, So we are much more than the, the physical side. We have that spirit side that we call it, where the human side, there's this awareness, consciousness, the ability, intelligence, power of taste, smell, power of sight. So there's a lot of things that a human body or a human being has been given. Now, and then there were examples we went over on how to use each part or each member, each faculty of the human being to do the trade. To because I can use, for example, the tongue to either just as an employee of the stomach, or I can use the tongue as you know um, an employee of the one who gave me the sense of taste. So the tongue will just recognize and realize, rather than satisfying the stomach, I will just use the tongue. That, yeah, that is true. The tongue says stomach gets satisfied, but it will become the representative of the to appreciate the qualities of the maker who is giving all these to whatever I'm eating, the bounties, the food, the fruits, vegetables, and the taste. So the tongue becomes so that's the way to make the trade, by using that particular faculty of tongue and the taste, and relating that to the one who has given that to me, and fulfilling the purpose is to recognize that that being who gave that to me. Now this is, so we kind of understood what the profits were, and now if we look at the loss, so it says if you reject this trade, you are basically depriving of the profit itself, and there is, in addition, there is a fivefold loss. So you're going into a loss. So I think let's go over what the first loss is. So the property and offspring to which you are so attached, the soul as caprice that you worship, so the youth and life with which you are infatuated, all will vanish and be lost. So it tells about the transience of the universe and everything that is, the experiences that we are encountering. So if I attach myself to, or if I love something that is transient, then I know that I will be hurt tremendously, because something transient is not everlasting by definition. Transient just goes away. So if my youth and my life is, if I attach myself to that, I see examples of my, around me, and everything is changing. Everything is, losing their ability, their new creation, definitely. But then I see that, in my being, my changes to tell me that, hey, this life is not going to be in this world. It's not going to be forever. So this is not my permanent address. This body is not my permanent place. Neither is this universe my permanent address. So now, how is this loss coming about? That's, I think, one of the questions that, okay, yeah, I realize this. Okay, this youth has been given to me. This life has been given to me. These faculties have been given to me. And now, if I'm not using them for their purpose, so how is this? Why such a loss? Because, I mean, I understand that if I gain, there's a gain by acknowledging the owner of this, but I'm trying to understand more on this particular loss. So, and particularly, I mean, we can think about it. If I think that, can I keep my youth? Can I keep my intelligence? Can I keep my senses? If I'm honest and sincere, I'll say no. I cannot do that. Now, who can keep that for me? Who can give me that, that conviction of security, or what is my point of support, so that I don't lose these things? So I have to look for that point of support. If I don't find it, or that particular point of support, if I go after the wrong point of supports which are temporary or transient, I'll not get it. So that is the loss I will feel I have. But if anybody would like to add or share their thoughts on how this is and what is the author means by the they will leave behind sin and pain fastened to their necks, I would love to hear their ideas also. And
So
just raise your hand if you have anything to say.
So while people are thinking at any time, just feel free to raise your hand. And the question has also been posted. I think just like what you were saying, Asim, it's very applicable to any stage of our lives. Even a child can clearly see that, oh, Friday's gone, Saturday's gone, Sunday tomorrow, Monday I have school. Like we all know the transient nature of this universe. And so I think we can make it applicable to relationships, to creation we interact with. If I were to solely rely on things around me, people, and I know that I'm departing, they are departing, then that's just like really I'm torturing myself in a way. Um, Rather than I need to find the source of existence of all that is presented to me, because that will be the only way that I can reach a sense of satisfaction within me that, hey, yes, somebody's taking care of me. I have a generous host. I'm just not left here to my devices, because clearly nobody can provide me with that which my human side seeks, because we are all utterly dependent in our existence. So how can something else that is dependent in their existence, something that is in need to be given existence like myself, help me with my with quenching my thirst of what is it that my heart truly desire, or my human spirit which really yearns for eternity, eternal satisfaction and everything. So I mean, I think this is a beautiful way from the author to present us the first loss with what we see in creation, property. Things come and go. We may have lots of wealth right now, but hey, stock market crashes and we just lose everything. Offspring, creation, children, they're so cute, they grow up, relationships, people move on. So I mean, everything is just really, it's in motion. It's so dynamic that you cannot even hold on to anything. And even the youth and life, you'll see that. I mean, look into your baby pictures, pull up your Facebook or Instagram and check in to see pictures from even a year ago. You'll see like different transformation. Like, how do you explain that change? It's amazing. And so although we do preserve them in like a picture mode, but that's not real. It's not tangible. It's not reality. Like really reality, sometimes I don't think so can be explained. I think words are not enough also to explain that. Although they say, yeah, a picture captures 1,000 words, but that's it. There's a limit, 1,000. But like, what is existence? What is reality? I cannot capture that in 1,000 words. Really, I think it's unlimited. And so I feel that um, the author is really helping anyone at any stage make sense of it. And also, but they will leave behind sin and pain fastened on your neck like a yoke. So I think we can maybe look into it a little later. But because I see some interesting comments here, our friend Kasim said missed opportunities, undeveloped potential. So let's ask from Kasim to explain out what do you mean from that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think anything which isn't used to its utmost potential means there is some potential in it which has not been utilized, developed. Um, I think, yeah, is that clear?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So yeah, every event, every moment, every stage is an opportunity for us to recognize the true bestower of all these bounties, right? Because that's what we need to attach ourselves to, the bounties. I think like Asim and you yourself highlighted, they just come and go. So like, who's providing me with all that is, I think, is the real human question. Anyone else wants to share anything, a comment, or just want to express themselves out? Feel free to raise your hand. Ali Murmur, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Good introduction. And also comments. I am asking this question to myself. Are we really so attached to property and our offspring? Some people don't like their children. Now, is it the subject? This is because of the loss. It means the subject is dealing with those people's feelings about their property, their offsprings, as if they are attached to them, but the believers are not attached to them. Believers are only attached to God. Is it really true? I have been thinking about it. So I said, no, it is in human nature, that's how we are created, that I am also attached to my property. I am also attached to the offspring. By the way, what I understand from offspring, not only the children or generations, grandchildren, etc. No, anything that I can leave behind in the memory of the things, memory of the people, that they will say, oh, after I die, Ali was such a such man. That is, the people nowadays think that we have to leave a green earth to our children and our grandchildren. That is the offspring for everybody. But psychologically, offspring means after I die, somebody will continue my inheritance. It means continue my heritage. It means if I should do something so that my fame, my name will remain. That is very human. Not necessarily that it is unique to non-believers or believers, anything. Not every human being is created in this way. That is why we have to see that the contradiction between our property, the property specifically mentioned here, not necessarily our material property. It means my house, my car, or something, my money, etc. Not necessarily, but including, but the real property is I like my tongue. I don't want to use the power of taste, sense of taste. Example, I love my mind. I don't want to use my memory, never. I don't want. This is very precious to me. I cannot say that I am a believer in God. Even I lose my brain, I don't mind. No, it is within me. This sense is the only jumping board for me to investigate further. Although I have this feeling that I should never lose my memory, but I will die and my brain also will die. If I understand that my brain is the source of my reasoning, I will definitely lose it at the end, either today or tomorrow. But in the end, it will not function at all. That's a beautiful reality that we are facing. So I don't want to lose it, but I know I'm going to definitely lose it. From there, we use this the principle or the method that the Quran, the Revelation teaches us. Revelation says, look, I give you some senses. And I gave you this word as well. I created you in this word as well. Like a child in the mother's womb, a fetus or whatever you call it, a fetus in the mother's womb. And he doesn't, the child doesn't have the consciousness to, yet, but functioning yet. But let's assume that it is a conscious child. It sees the child, fetus sees hands, which he's not using. What are they for? Legs, oh, they don't need it. Lungs, what are they for? Come on. And also stomach. No, I don't need stomach. I get my food directly from this cord. So then if it's an example, an intelligent and reasoning person, he will say, what are they for then? We understand definitely that they are for the next life, that he is going to be taken out of this life and put into another life. As soon as he comes there, oh yeah, I understand. I need all these properties. But I didn't know that time. So it is exactly as the revelation teaches us, our life in this earth, on this earth, like this example, but we are conscious that we can really understand and question. I have such human senses which are not going to be satisfied in this world, which are not going to be really function in this world. So I have to understand the purpose in their existence. What is it? Now, who gave me this? You must know. Really, he must know that I will need them. Now, my sense of attachment to property and fame, let's say, after I die, everybody will talk about me that he was such a such person. I'm not about me, no, I have nothing for the people to talk about, but people's consideration that they want their honor to continue, etc. That is the reality, that if I don't understand these human senses which require eternal, infinite satisfaction of usage of the property and the other human honor side, then they have to accept that they are going to lose them in the end. So whatever it is, they will use it no matter what. They will lose it, sorry. They will lose it. That is the loss. At the end, the hands will be empty. Now, only the pain, the text says, but they will leave behind the sin and the pain that they carry, because they are contradicting their reality if someone doesn't really use them in order to understand the purpose in their creation, in terms of in their existence, in terms of their the creator of these senses, properties, human feelings. They are always feeling this. It is inevitable not to feel it. If I don't, you can imagine, every one of us can imagine here, if, let's imagine for a moment, temporary moment, I don't believe in God, and nothing is real really about religion or the revelation, what the revelation teaches us. All the scriptures are talking about just ancient stories. Yeah, I must be realistic. What is the way to be realistic? Here is the word. I am realistic. I have to enjoy my word, my life here as much as I can. But can you really kill? Think about it. The desire not to lose your brain, can you really kill your desire not to lose your power of taste? What the tongue functions? Uh, uh, I cannot guarantee them. Definitely they will go. Can I keep them? No. But I don't want to lose them. Yes, I don't want to lose them. Correct. But I cannot keep them. What is this contradiction? That is the author is talking about the loss. Because I have to suffer the pain of this contradiction within myself or with my nature. That is left on human beings to choose, but we are not left with the choice that I will not use them in order to understand and appreciate their source of existence, but I will still enjoy my life. That is impossible. That is not the choice given to us. That is the grace of the Creator, that if I really enjoy it, if I cut off my relationship with the Creator and enjoy the things that I am given, that will be a very misleading for me, because I will see no way that what I have chosen is wrong. So this is the loss that a person, if a person chooses not to use their property in order to acknowledge the Creator and understand that these are the promises from the Creator, like the fetus in the mother's womb, all the hands, legs, and brain, and stomach, and other systems, digestive systems, the mouth and teeth. Of course, the children does, the fetus doesn't have, but whatever, it will grow. So these are for another world. We have to utilize them now. Of course, for the fetus, it is an example. For the fetus, it is not the choice, but now we are the fetus in the womb of the universe. Think about it. It is really, really very striking for me. It must be true. That is how I am. For me. I don't know whether I share it or not. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Ali. That was a beautiful reflection slash comment from your side, because I think we all need to ponder over the contradiction that I'll see in terms of, yes, I want to keep everything that I'm using, and at the same time, it's leaving me. So, how do I then go on benefiting from it or using them to acknowledge the source of existence of these bounties? Because human side want to keep the things and we don't want to lose it. So that's how we're made. And so I think the whole point here is to utilize anything to recognize that it's being brought into existence by a one who is taking us on this existential journey, which we experience from the womb of our mother to this universe and to wherever is it that we end up with beyond this universe. So otherwise, this whole human journey is just gonna be pain, and everything is just leaving me behind, and I'm gonna keep it. So it's really pain and torture, and then that's gonna be the loss in terms of if I'm not utilizing creation, including myself in it, with the acknowledgement of all my human senses, which are in need of experiencing everything in eternal form. Anyone else would want to make a comment or would like to express anything out? Feel free to raise your hand at any time.
So that point about if the real human sense, brotherly highlighted about the, so you don't have to be a believer or anything, but if I look at my real human side and I can really see that in my own being, yeah, if somebody tells me, hey, you're gonna lose this or that, I'll be like, no, I don't want to lose any of that. I want to keep my intelligence, I want to keep the memory, I want to keep the power of sight, hearing, the sense, of whatever the different senses that I have. I want to keep all of them. I mean, the way the everything is functioning, I want everything perfectly functioning as well. So this is a real human dilemma, because you know that as you grow older, you age, and but this sense is still with you. You wanna, and the example as the of the womb, of the universe, like just like the baby is in the womb of a mother, I am in this womb of the universe, and everything is there given to me. Is the one who has set the stage, set this conditions in this environment, in this living situation, is all being given to me, and I have to use all of these tools, these senses, and which is something I need to do. And of course, that desire to keep it and to preserve it, I have to. This is the option that is presented to me from this guidance that I have. How should I use them? What do I, who can satisfy them, as you were saying, Korea. So, but it's a real human situation that, you know, if there is no provider, if I don't understand that they have to be used for their purpose, then I suffer the loss.
Good point, actually. So it seems that the first loss is really about pain if I'm not selling or utilizing anything myself in the name of its owner. So I think this also connects back to the first word when we studied about Bismillah Rahman Rahim. It's all that. Take in the name of your Lord, give in the name of your Lord, breathe in the name of your Lord, do everything in recognition of the owner. So I think this verse would connect to that, like sell your property back to its owner, as in acknowledging that, hey, this, thank you for giving this to me, this doesn't belong to me, this belongs to you. And that's really the recognition. If there's no recognition of the source of existence of anything, then that's pain. The human experience would be painful. So I think that is what I take away from the first loss. Unless anyone wants to add anything to this first loss. I see Huda, your microphone is up. Go ahead if you want to make a comment, please.
Yes. Salam, everyone. This is really difficult for me. The loss of is extremely difficult. Intellectually, I understand life is transient. I know La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, I'm a Muslim, but to internalize it is a constant struggle. Especially when it hits you right up straight in the face. And what I mean by that, just to give you an example, a couple of days ago, my brother was sharing with us siblings the the preparation of my parents' home. Both of my parents are deceased, may they rest in peace. And the family home right now is being remodeled so we can put it on sale and so on. It was extremely difficult for me to watch the video that he shared with us. Every room, everything has a memory in it. Intellectually, I know, inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. My parents are no longer with us. But it was so painful to watch the picture, to see the video of the workers fixing the home. This is where my parents were. This is my family home. And I started thinking, so I'm non-existent now? Their existence was in vain? I mean, it's crazy. It's just my mind started going in all directions. So again, I know Allah exists. I know inna ilayhi raji'un, but when it just up in your face type of thing, it's just when reality hits you with it, like seeing the videos, it was just extremely, extremely difficult for me. So that's just all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, Huda, for sharing your very genuine and sincere human experience, which is very practical. And I think you're right. I agree with you in terms of intellectually how everything we can make sense of, but applying it to like the human side, it's rough. It's that's where I feel as the human being, it's challenging. It's and it's painful. That's true. The loss and I think that's the education that the Quran offers us, and the authors also, helping us do that. And we fail. There's no denying in that, and that's where we need to really, I think, listen to our inner side more and being open in terms of, what is the reality, like this whole existence that is given to us, and even like even the sense of memory. It's just like Brother Ali pointed out earlier, it's beautiful. I don't want to lose it. And I think it's also in these experiences, even the sense of memory, which makes us realize and recognize, like all happy moments, even the sad moments. So, but when I question their existence, I think, and if I'm able to connect it to something not of the nature of this universe, as in, the one that has brought me into existence here is speaking to me about something, is, showing my life again as a movie, just to make me recognize that, like you were saying, like things are so transient, it just passes by with the blink of an eye, we're just like 5 years old, and then blink of an eye, we're like, old age. And it's really how, like, who's bringing this in. I think that's what I need to connect myself with. Otherwise, and I need to use these tools, faculty of memory and the human experiences, as a means to recognize that I have a host here. I'm just a guest. Guest goes through a lot of journeying. And so this host is presenting me with all these scenarios, cases that are painful, that are sad, that are happy, but it's really my perception of it. But if I know that there is a director behind this movie that I'm in, then, I should connect myself, or at least that should put me at ease that, these are just signs for me to recognize that this universe is just impermanent, it's transient, it is not it. And that's good news. If this universe was it, I'll be just pained and tortured. But alhamdulillah, thank God this is not it. So this is just letting me know that it is a sample of what is it that I truly desire. And alhamdulillah also for the faculty of memory. Even when we reminisce on any sort of memories, it's just a reminder for what the reality is, and really what is it that I need to attach my human self to. So again, thank you for sharing your experience. It helped me also, recognize that I'm not here forever. I'm just a guest here that is being treated, that is being trained by a generous host. So if there is a host to this universe, then hey, that's it. That's all I need to know. Otherwise, I'll be lost. Thanks again. And I see that somebody had their hand up. Taya, you had your hand up. So if you want to share out your comment, please go for it.
First, hi everybody. Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to send love and I wish I could hug our sister who was just talking. I think I want when you were talking, I just was thinking to myself that it's not an easy thing. So I don't. I think that we're reading this and thinking that, oh, we just think this and we sell it back to Allah and it's easy and we feel these things. I don't think it's an easy thing at all. I think it's a difficult thing. And if everybody could do it, everybody would be doing it. So I just don't want you to be hard on yourself for not being able to do it right now. But I think that what you are experiencing is exactly what we're discussing right now with the leaving behind of the pain that you're feeling right now. And I'm not saying that it happens right now. I haven't experienced this, so I can't be in your shoes. But I think when you're able to really sell this idea or sell this, these the ownership back, recognizing it, reflecting on it in a way, that's when you'll find your paradise again, your peace in it. I mean, it sounds very fresh and new. So I just want to encourage you and, send you a lot of love and just tell you that I don't think that doing these things are easy at all. And yeah, so I hope that helps.
Thank you, Taya, for your comment. And I know Ali
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, sister. Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
Ali Murmur, go ahead, please.
First of all, I would like to welcome our friends, long-term friends, Khuda. I recognize your voice. I didn't recognize the name. It didn't occur to me at all. Somebody, there are many Hudas called, but as soon as I heard the voice, oh, this is our old friend years ago. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ali. I miss you very
I'm not
much.
mistaken, am
Yes. Thank you.
No, okay, thank you. So I appreciate and I sympathize the feeling that real human feeling the Huda shared with us. It is the most essential thing to understand all these 5 losses listed here. Attachment. If we understand how painful the loss will be if we did not use our properties, our tools, our human qualities in order to acknowledge their eternal source, if we really didn't attach them, we wouldn't feel the pain of losing them. It is impossible. It is unhuman or inhuman. I don't know which one is correct. It is inhuman. That is why we have to acknowledge that we love the world. We love our everything, property, all kinds of property, material property, spiritual property, attachments, beloved ones, children, parents, relatives, friends, and other creatures. We love them. And the stars, we don't want to lose the stars. For example, even they are far away from us. Can you imagine just empty sky without the glittering stars? Of course, we love them. We don't want to lose all of them, but the reality is out there. We will be separated, not, not permanently. Why? Because this attachment is given to us not for nothing. That is why I would say to everyone, to myself, as Huda was sharing her feelings, and I also remembered my feelings about my parents, losing my parents. And even long ago, still, I feel so sensitive about it, so emotional about it. So I remember that Huda said, we know Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilaihi Raji'un. There is no God, and we came from Him. He created us, and we are going to turn back to Him. Can you imagine a person who doesn't have this notion at all after this real human attachment to our belongings, to the things that we are given to us? You are so attached to them, and there is no way out, if you like. It means there is no way that, okay, but at the end we will be together. Don't worry. We can soothe ourselves a little bit, temporarily. But those people don't have this option. How do they feel about it? How do they cope about it? How do they cope with this very human depression? Just last night, something happened in our neighborhood that somebody has lost a young person lost his beloved one, and it's a loss. That's the common language. I don't believe losing, but you know, passed away and went to the other side of the world, if you like. Okay, he got drunk. He didn't know what he's doing. He was going into his house. He couldn't recognize, and by mistake entered into another person's next door house, and the door couldn't open the door, broke the door, and get into the house, and they found somebody walking in the house. Strange. Family panicked, called the police. Police came. Everyone was up. And what did the vehicle was going crazy, out of control. 6, 7 police could only really stop him. Why? Attachment is so strong, cannot bear the separation. That is human being. I looked at them, look at this. How much really we are attached to this world. There must be a solution. Otherwise, it is not only sin and pain, it is torture that we are going to die and lose. That is reality. I am very extremely thankful to the Creator. He created death. Why? Not because I want to die, no, no. And I don't want to die. Frankly, I want to be with you. But because of death, I know I become aware of my reality, that I am attached, that's for sure. And if I don't find any way of solving this problem, I will definitely torture myself. This is the mercy of God. Ah, this is the really motivation for us to look for solution. Can't be true, can't be accidental, can't be. There must be a purpose in it. And we start looking for the solution. That is the only way to find, which is called in Arabic, ghaib. It means an absolute being is preparing us for the birth, pain of birth, pang of birth, for the eternal life, like a child coming out of the womb of the mother, coming out of this universe. So we can bear it, we can know that, we can learn that there must be another world that we are going to be taken into. That is the only solution, painkiller, if you like, for this unbearable pain of separation, estrangement from myself. It is unimaginable. It is beautiful. If you like, if you don't misunderstand my language, the scenario of creation is set in such a way that it is only for the purpose of helping me to realize my reality, who I am and who my owner is. Everything is for this purpose. All these losses here can only be solved by acknowledging that there is a perfect purpose, wisdom in the creation of everything. The one who creates them is absolutely wise, knows what he's doing. And that is how beneficent he is, merciful he is, to not let us go and live with our pain. Where only the way we understand the Creator is calling us to acknowledge him and submit our existence to him alone. And then live in this way. It doesn't mean that I should detach myself from my beloved ones on everything, from my property, which is given to me in the form of a trust temporarily. No, I should protect them. I should love them. I should appreciate them, but I should use them for the purpose they are created for. Otherwise, the pain, the torture will be unbearable, and apparently I may try to forget it, but these are not the solution for human spirit. Human spirit can only get satisfaction from eternal happiness, which is only possible with the absolute creator of the universe by acknowledging him and trusting in him. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Ali. That was a beautiful, thought provoking reflection. And I feel what you shared in ties in with the fourth loss in terms of without seeing uh, the messages that any event or this universe conveys to me, without um, tying that which I experience to the source of existence of this universe, then really the journey here becomes burdensome. So just like we're jumping into the fourth loss right now, because I felt your point connected with only in my weakness and poverty. So like we realize it, that like we have people around us, friends, loved one, they're departing, leaving us. We're also gradually leaving. And so if we attach ourselves to just, I mean, even the things, the people themselves, loved one, friends, I mean, it is painful. And rather, and that's gonna be like really painful in terms of just like putting the burden on my shoulder, like, oh wow, I loved you and now you left me. Or not really. I think this is the real human reality in terms of attachment to creation. And like you said, which is needed, but then how do I utilize this? I have to see creation as pointing to its creator, so things are reflecting qualities of the one that brings this universe into existence. So the host of the universe is presenting me with these qualities that are reflected in the universe. And so if I don't live with that awareness, and then I'll just be, lamenting with the blows of transience and separation, because it seems like this fourth loss is telling me that the blows of transience and separation, that's real. I mean, we all have human experiences where we realize that, we recognize it. And so the whole point is then not to just, live with that reality. Oh yeah, this is it. The universe is transient and separation. No, but because that's just going to be living with just a burden. Rather, I need to do something with this feelings and experience. And that's what the chronic guidance is about, that utilizing these feelings of not liking separation, disliking transience, utilizing them to really put our trust into the host of this universe. Otherwise, it's just burdensome. It's just carrying the human burden. I cannot, otherwise I'm carrying my human burden. Rather, I'm not made for that. I'm made to put that load, as in putting the trust on the host of the universe. And I think, that requires like a little more reflection also. So I don't know if somebody wants to share anything on that end.
Yeah, just the comments from our brothers and sisters. Real human experience goes through all of these scenarios. I don't think anybody can escape that. At different stages, we depends on how much, you know, of course, it has to do. This is part of the training that we're here for. Different scenarios are presented to every individual in their own personal journey, in their own conditions. It's amazing. Like, who is setting up for each individual their preparation, I would say, preparation for their next world. I mean, this is how the guidance kind of is training us. And as the examples, both from the sister and Brother Ali, in terms of the attachment and that feeling of that attachment, how drastic and how painful, torturous it can become. On So as the fourth law says, you could look at the reality of yourself, of the every being, of everything that is you see around you, and we see that everything is dependent, is in need of being sustained, being given existence. And I mean, imagine all this, you know, trying to hold on to any of these things. Like, can I do anything to prevent the loss of attachment of anything? That's a tremendous heavy burden, that and I see that my reality of everything, just shows me that everything is weak in their being. So of course there will always be cries if I try to take this loss and I don't listen to, or see what it means to make the trade. Then this whole experience will really blow out. This The attachment will just make one crazy. And yeah, so that's, I think, how you know I think, thank you for all your comments. And I think so the second loss, I think we can go there, since we jumped to the fourth loss. The second loss is mostly about, basically, I will wrong myself. I thought that was pretty interesting, that it's not somebody else is going to give me a penalty. It's not, hey, I parked in the wrong spot and now I get a ticket, for parking. Somebody else gives me that for making. But this is something, I have consciousness, just unlike the baby in the womb of the mother. I have the awareness and consciousness that is given to me to operate in this universe. So I have that, those senses within me to use whatever the tools and faculties for the purpose that they are. And if I, if they are not used for what their purpose is, then I'm hurting actually myself. Nobody else hurting me, but I'm hurting myself. Just like in the school, if I go and start, in a class, I'm enrolled and I'm not learning anything. Okay, I graduate, but I didn't learn anything. I'm hurting myself for my future because I didn't take benefit from any of those lessons or lectures and experiments, whatever that the school was giving me. No learning. So the penalty is not that the school says, "Hey, you're not prepared, you failed." Okay, they give you a degree, yes, you fail, but actually, I'm the one who actually suffers from it. So I think that is interesting to note that for you will have wronged your own self by using the most precious tools on the most worthless objects. So it also goes to the attachment. If I attach myself to the worldly things or to the property or the physical, that transient world, which are actually means for me to realize who the owner is. So based on how much my attachment is, that much, I would realize how worthless that is. That would be my training place for me.
I think that's a good way to put it. The more I attach myself to something, I think the more I can learn the lesson from it in terms of, wow, this world is not it. I shouldn't be attaching myself to it. Rather, I need to utilize this universe and attach myself to the owner of the universe. So it's an interesting way to look into it in terms of learning. Like, so the more I realize something, the more I can awaken my consciousness, or the more my consciousness gets awakened. Let's see if there's anyone else who wants to make a comment. Taya, go ahead, please.
I wanted to talk about the betrayal of trust part, because I think I struggle with this too. And that we always say is trust Allah, trust Allah. I believe I trust Allah, but do I often question, do I? Because sometimes there are so many moments where I'm like, I know he says to do it like this, but I'm gonna do it like this because I don't know, it feels more familiar, it feels like certain to me. And you know what I mean? Like and so I'm saying, like, I'm betraying the trust that he knows better than I do in resolving whatever sort of situation that I'm in. And I ultimately will be, torturing myself and putting myself in a predicament that um, that makes me less than happy, I guess.
Thank you for sharing this beautiful comment. Yeah, I think that's the whole training that we are all trying to work on in terms of, being true to our human nature, as in being more sincere, listening to ourselves more, and then trusting the one that is inspiring us also, to discern between the reality and what we deem to be real. Taya, you still have your hand up. I don't know. Do you want to add on something more? Okay.
No, mistake. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Is there anyone else who wants to add a little something or anything? If not, then let's proceed further. We have 10 more minutes, so let's just try to conclude. So the third loss was about casting null effect of man to level much inferior to you haven't. Yeah, I think. I mean, I guess this connects back to how we got started in terms of, if I'm not utilizing myself with the way that the creator has made me, or with everything is given for a purpose. So existence itself has a purpose, or must have a purpose. And so if I'm not looking into that purpose, then I'm just reducing myself to really I'm not, like just like a plant or animal, or just living it. And then obviously then that doesn't bring any benefit to my human side. And so it's yeah, so I think how the author is finishing us off is like with this rhetorical question. Now is it so difficult to sell the trust? So I think after presenting all the scenario of profit, loss, advantage, and disadvantage of um, um, using ourselves the way our source of existence wants us to be, then what is holding me back, really? So go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think we missed the fifth loss also. So all the faculties that we have are, if I clothe them in an ugly form. So what is the ugly form? Fit to open the gates of hell in front of me, the fair gifts of the compassionate one, such as the intelligence. So this is something to realize, the gifts of the compassionate one. Intelligence, heart, eye of the tongue, given to me to make preparation for the foundations of everlasting life and eternal happiness in the hereafter. So as you were saying, Mariha, so they are all given for a purpose. First of all, I have to understand that and as our friends have mentioned, it is, yes, it's easy to say it, but then to live by it is something that needs to be worked on.
Prepare
The practical side of understanding, oh my God, so this, the sense, whatever, the two hands I'm using for cooking is something that is a gift to me, given to me to use, or for typing, or for whatever. We use the hands so often that we don't realize what a gift they are. The movement of the finger, and it's incredible how every, you know, tool and sense that is given to us. We eat all the time. We don't understand what the teeth and the chewing aspect of the ability to be able to chew, is, the generation. How saliva is generating. If you ask a biologist, they will tell you how important all those systems of functioning are. But these are all the gifts that are given to us, and then we have to understand they are gifts. They are just favored and given to us, and they have to be used for, and that goes back to the comment about the betrayal. you know if I give you something that, hey, use this for something, and then you just break it or abuse it or don't use it, then that is a betrayal of the trust, right? I think we gave an example of somebody giving somebody a car, right, for maybe a month or something. Hey, use this car, and then the car is just not used, and how would one feel about it? So the realization is really to understand that these things do not belong to me, but they are given to me for a purpose. And my attachment cannot be to those things as well, but they are, I should understand that who the owner of those things are. That's where my attachment has to go.
Absolutely. And I think keyword here is preparation, also in the fifth loss, where the author is mentioning that, is given to you to make preparation for the foundations of everlasting life and eternal happiness in the hereafter. So I think preparation usage here is very prominent in terms of making me recognize really what is it that I need to do. So with this, um, so Taya is saying using your car the correct way, so you can not only get to paradise but experience paradise while you're here. Absolutely, Taya. Yeah, that's the main point here. We need to experience this paradise-like state here and now, and just like living it with the reality of the hereafter. and happy state here and now. So thank you for sharing this. Let's see if there's anyone else who just wants to make, we have like just a couple of more minutes before we conclude. Anything else? Any final remarks? Or
Yeah, so maybe we can just go over the last paragraph and see how the author kind of summarizes and concludes this. As Faria said about is it so difficult to sell the trust, knowing that what is to be gained and what kind of loss there is? Yeah, intellectually, or I say, yeah, it's easy. I mean, yeah, I would like to do that trust. So that is now this is the way that the trust has to be done, basically. So let's continue reading. Is it so burdensome that many people shun the transaction? So they don't pay. Okay, by no means. It is not in the least. So it's not something burdensome. For, and what is this? For the limits of the permissible are broad and are quite adequate for man's desire. So the limits of the permissible are broad. So everything is presented, is given to us, and it's enough for us to be able to make that trade. And there's no need to trespass on the forbidden. So I think by forbidden, what I think we discussed that also is not the haram kind of thing, but it's the aspect of where we don't recognize who the owner is. So not realizing what the reality of the things that we are interacting with, what our reality is, and just crossing the boundary of just the attribution of something to it, giving the qualities to themselves, or seeing something transient as being something that is satisfying me. So that would be trespassing on the forbidden. So the duties imposed by God are light and few in number. To be the worshipper and soldier of God is an indescribably pleasurable honor. Yeah, so the duty is, so here is the practical aspect of the duty, is simply to act and embark on all things in God's name, like a soldier. So just like the soldier acts in the name of the country, the army. So who is my owner? So I have to act in the owner's name. And it ties it again to, as you said, the Bismillah Rahman Rahim. So realizing, in whose name everything is being opened up for me, to all things in God's name, like a soldier, to give and to take and give on God's behalf. So whatever we are doing, it has to be in recognition of our source. So this is a state of being of the human, which we are given the opportunity to train. And as Qasim said in the beginning, missed opportunities. This is, the time for using those opportunities to understand how to make that trade. It's just not something, you're not giving something away, or it's not such something that is really heavy, as we discussed. It's a simple acknowledgement. It's a simple recognition that, it's a state of which is what the belief aspect of the human being is. So using our senses, our tools, use them in recognition of who has presented them to us. So to move and be still in accordance with his permission and law. So follow his way of, the order that he has established, and recognize that this is his way of working. So if one falls short, then one should seek his forgiveness and say, at least there's somebody we can ask forgiveness from, right? If nobody else can take our forgiveness, there is our owner who accepts that forgiveness. Oh Lord, forgive our faults and accept us as your worshippers. Make us sure holders of your trust. So make us sure holders of your trust until the time comes when it is taken from us. Amen. And make petition unto him.
Yeah, this was it. This was beautiful, actually. Even the ending with that verse, like you said, that recognizing that only I can only turn back to the source of my existence in any situation, and that's very comforting. to the human spirit, that there's someone that we can trust onto. There's someone that gives us this sense of comfort and security that we seek while we are driving on the road to paradise in this universe. So I think, yeah, this is it for now. Let's just see if there's anyone who wants to say something, a comment, or anything. Feel free to do so. If not, then alhamdulillah, thank you all for coming in and really giving your comments and expressing yourself out, helping each other out. Alhamdulillah, this was a great company. Again, thanks again for joining in. And inshallah, we'll see you all next week. So this concludes the 6th word. So next Saturday, let's pick up from the 7th word on page 41, inshallah. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you are all knowledgeable, all wise. آخر دعواهم الحمد لله رب العالمين. بحرمة سر سورة الفاتحة. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. See you all next week, inshallah.